Hello, Flashbangers. My apologies for being slightly behind time. We'll do... Hey, Bobby, how are you doing?
Hey, Rory. How you
Hi,
feeling?
hi. Not great. Experienced an incident on, the black film class where I was teaching somebody Zoom bombed with a bunch of racist stuff.
Does this just
Yeah,
happen?
yeah, basically.
Whoa.
Um, they were, yeah, they were dumb enough to show their face. So,
How now? How?
yeah.
Here's my question. How are they getting into these Zoom things? What's going on? How are they
Okay,
getting in?
so a couple things. I can't comment on mine personally, but
Hmm.
what I did, I kind of looked up a couple articles. You have to make sure you can't screen share,
Hey guys.
password, and we have a lot of folks hopping in. That's great. Hello, all.
Emmy,
Um,
Zulu. How you doing?
hey, um, what else? Don't make sure you can't screen share. Only the host can let folk in, and possibly establishing a wait room too.
Okay. So this, has
Mm-hmm.
this? I've heard a few other people telling me that this has been
Mm-hmm.
happening.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So just be on the lookout. And there's certain settings that you can do on your basically your Zoom. But honestly, like Zoom needs to catch up so this stops happening. The first time, I'll even give them the second time it happened. It shouldn't have
hmm
happened after that. There's a job called white hat hackers, basically
hmm
people who, hack for the positive or corporate side of things. There's like at least a skills class you can do to get it. It pays about 80,000 a year. So
and wait,
right after
what are these people doing? They're trying to hack against that, or are they hacking for that? What's going on?
white hat hackers are trying to prevent hacking or malicious hacking. They look for like basically like holes in the wall that the pests, the the roaches can get in.
Hmm.
Lord bless my stuff. Just in case. Bless my security measures. But yeah, just like so they definitely can do that. And I don't know. It's what it's funny, but this is definitely why we need to make sure we're encouraging all intersectionalities of people, especially like,
Hmm.
little black kids to go into coding because like as an adult I definitely intend to take a class.
Hmm.
Not just so I can possibly get some white hat hacker skills, but just to honestly make my own video game based on my character. So
Hmm. Hey, Crown.
yeah.
Make a
Hey
comment saying
Mexicon.
it.
Yes, yes. Thank you for posting this too. That's where we met y'all. Hi,
Shout out to
flashbangers.
Crown, Mecca Crown, Mecca
Yes,
Con.
yes,
Shout out.
yes. Thank you, thank you. Hello everybody who's joined us today. Just it's the revolution has been televised and has been quite interesting. So that's definitely some things we're going to cover as well as going into art. But art always plays a part in any revolution, especially a black revolution such as this one. You know, yeah. So it's wild. How are you doing, Bobby? How's your life going?
It's it is okay. It's good because I am taking care of
hmm
my mental, my spiritual health, which I
hmm
think is
Yeah.
something that I think I
Yeah.
realize with the times that we're in now, that is
hmm
probably more important for us to take care of our own, mental and spiritual health and
hmm
emotional health. I mean, it's all connected. So
Yeah.
I think through that, then we can unite better and think clearer and have a a more smarter mind to move forward with this, to find
Mm-hmm.
solutions. So I think with that being said,
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing my best to do that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say it hasn't been hard the last few days because it has been, um,
Mm-hmm.
especially especially just trying to focus and even just to
Mm-hmm.
write because I've been trying to take some of this energy and put it toward writing, and it's been pretty
Mm-hmm.
difficult. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh,
so
yeah.
yeah,
I think. Mm-hmm.
so I
I
think
was interrupted you. Go ahead.
no, I'm good. Hey, Tanika. So my heart is with everybody, obviously, and
Mm-hmm.
I think we should definitely continue to support each other, support our friends, our family. If you have kids, I don't have kids, but if you have kids, I can only imagine how hard it is for parents to teach their kids and give them some meaning and clarity to what's going on, so that
Mm-hmm.
we don't hurt. The problem is, I think, we're born into this system of racist and white supremacist ideology, which teaches young black folk and other folk, even including myself, if I was to look back at me growing up, is that
Mm-hmm.
we are not the same. It teaches us difference. It teaches us, and sometimes it makes you not like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a hard
Yeah.
work to de-internalize that, to decolonize your mind. And I can
Mm-hmm.
only imagine, it is something I can journalize my world and how I had to find who I am and realize that this is what was going on, to see beyond, to really just love myself. So that is
Yeah.
something that we all have to learn in this world. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard to love yourself in a world that teaches you that you're not worthy of being loved. So
Mm-hmm.
I can only
Mm-hmm.
imagine what everybody's going through. So
Yeah, yeah. No, I definitely agree. I think definitely it's a couple
it's
bullet
God.
points that come to mind. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna introduce you in a second, Bobby. If I
Oh,
wasn't
it's
calling
fine.
you by name, but not necessarily by grade.
Eh,
Um, but yeah. Um, but yeah. So just no, I agree with you. I think you have to take care of your mental, especially
Samaj.
with this, revolution. It's funny you hit a couple bullet
Tanika.
points. I go with the definitely. Hey y'all, definitely go with the kids. I think the kids are learning from watching. There's several books that address like just generalized racism, and particularly the virulent anti-blackness that has been unfortunately a very much a disease, both through white supremacy and also like kind of within like even within people of color, like, within people who aren't necessarily black, and just even if it's like a microaggression too. Um, One thing I definitely think I've seen a list of different books that help with the discussion, especially for kids. But what I'm also seeing, honestly, is like the children are at the protest. Like I was watching like one mom with her baby on. No, that's at least been twice. Like a mom with a baby on the front, and I know that Lord, I can't remember this late night host. This is terrible. The one with the glasses that doesn't help. Stephen Colbert. His mom was at the March on Washington pregnant with him. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So it makes a difference in how you step later. Um, and he's not necessarily, completely perfect, but from what he says from his lips, I like that I'm hearing allied words. And it makes a difference, especially because of the size of his platform. You can
Yes.
make a difference in any slot. But it's funny. You also said definitely taking about care of the mental health. And one thing I was watching like Brandon Hall's live, amazing actor. Juilliard trained, just incredible. His voice is just pleasant to listen to. But one thing I like about one of the guests he had on his show was he said, Black people in this time, our job, we're always going to show up for us, but our job particularly is to heal. So I definitely have seen like a friend going like, you know what, deuces, this is a little too much. I'm stepping back. And then I was looking on like I won't name it, but like a celebrity's thing, black celebrity, and like a person who wanted to help that happened to be white was like, I'm so disappointed in you, and I'm like, oh no, comment. All she has to do is heal. Leave her alone. you know, um, leave. Like, why are you up your white spline? I know you come get her. Come get her. She wants to try. She wants to try. But this ain't the time.
Well, it's
Not
it's
like
interesting.
this.
It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I've been getting a few texts from a few of my white friends, and some of them have
Oh.
said, and no, it's these are caring people, but they say, they don't know what to say, and it is true. Like even in, let's say a mutual group chat, which I'm in many group chats, and
Mm-hmm.
where I'm the only non-white person in there, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
there has been generally zero commenting about what's been going on. It is,
Ooh.
and not to say these people don't care, because they do care. If I was to be
Mm-hmm.
fair, but they're texting about, you know, I'm not going to say it, but happy things, very happy
Mm-hmm.
pictures and happy things, family things, and
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff that's going on. It's almost like la di da. Let's not think about it. But from a
Ooh. That's
psychological
scary.
standpoint, but psychologically, if I was, and it's if I because I'm an empathetic person, I can put myself in the head of
Mm-hmm.
a white person in today's world, where if they live a life where they really don't have much contact with other cultures, and especially now during this, and I'm not making an excuse, but in now this quarantine time, you will naturally adapt to, let's not talk about something that makes us uncomfortable. Let's just focus on what makes us happy right now, right? Which is good, but the problem is, then we right now, especially me as an ally, if I can
Mm-hmm.
try to bring some sort of resolution to this, or not resolution, but awareness to speak up about this, then
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing what small part I can. And then conversely, if there is another white ally in that group
Mm-hmm.
chat, then they could do
Yeah,
the
they
same.
could be saying something.
They can do the
Yeah.
same. So I think that's important to
Yeah.
note, because I
Mm-hmm.
actually placed a phone call to one of my white friends
Mm-hmm.
who's very dear to me, and I expressed
Mm-hmm.
my feelings about this, and
Mm-hmm.
it opened up a conversation, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and as a result, thank God, and he's a wonderful person. He texted me and said, "Hey, do you know any protests near me?" I said, you know,
Okay.
I don't know personally, but why don't you Google it? And he found some on Facebook, and I think he's about to go.
Okay, good.
So
Good.
that's
He's doing
good.
his white
Yeah.
ally work. I think I can. You know what Bobby A just said, to a point. I'm a little out of empathy because it's like I get that, to quote, and I'm not gonna remember her last name. One day I will memorize last names, but um, oh, or you might know her last name is Jane. Jane said this. She said, "How many people in here?"
Is that the
Which
white that anti-racist one? Yeah, I like her.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
And she said, "Well, how come none of you are raising your hands? That means you're aware. And if it's not good enough for you, then how come you're okay with somebody else?" So, while I could honestly say that like some people aren't doing A, B, and C, maybe because honestly, Bobby, I'm thinking two things. One, let's say you happen to be super rich. You're in contact with somebody of color, maybe even through like, your cleaning staff. I'm thinking of the 40s with like or earlier with my great, grandmother. And then like now with, maybe with somebody else who's another ethnicity or another race. So it's that for me, that lack of awareness, it's while it's logically understandable, it wears real thin after a while. Cause like it's kind of like I saw this painting, and hey y'all, everybody who's hopped in here, yeah, thank you. Look, see that's group group work. Thank you, Jane Elliott, and
And
even Jane.
people who are watching, feel free to put your comments in there, and we can discuss.
Mm,
This is a discussion for everybody. So
yeah,
you know.
yeah, it's the artist live. Yeah, if you have some definitely stuff to add. Um, what was I about to say? But yeah, even Jane isn't perfect because she was explaining something. Said to Emma, I'm like, no, Jane, bro, you needed to phrase it differently. No, Jane, no, Jane, you were my good example. So like part of me still just you know, um, but like just it's like I'm a keeper. I'm a keeper. She got most of the stuff right, but she can't do that again. And that I guess that's the other thing is like once I know you're human, but I like what I've seen on a couple of boards. It said that, hey, Holloway, um, it said that like the job of an ally isn't, done, and with this, being a black ally, you're constantly learning. What I like that I'm seeing on some of my, white friends' walls is that there's stuff white people talking to white people about it. Because that is one thing. Like my mom was in the movement. Like, in fact, I'm just a little brag. It wasn't me, but it was her. But she was in she went to the March on Washington through the Harlem Youth Project that was talked by Dr. Henry Clark. Like, so
Hmm.
she got to meet Malcolm X, heard him like on Sundays speak. You know, happened to be the descendant of William Still. Thank you, God. I landed real good this like time around. You know, so it's like, well, even my walk for my people isn't perfect. I feel like and I lived in Philadelphia. I'm from Philly. You know, I was blessed enough to definitely grow up in a very pro-black culture about, you know, that made sure, even though I was like seeing stuff on Nickelodeon that didn't include a little face like mine. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like, it, thankfully, like it kind of like it reminds me of like an X-Men thing, kind of like it's even while something's rotting, something's healing, or maybe it's Grundy off of DC.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, yeah, art being such a cool example again. Um, but yeah, no, I think definitely for kids, like I think just hearing that in the ear, and honestly being around people who do talk about not just not being racist, but like, you know, anti-racism when they're little. Seeing color isn't a compliment, because if we weren't meant to be our little Crayola pieces, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not seeing part of my beauty, and I'm not getting that. Like, you know, so it's,
Well,
but
I
yeah,
mean,
I
look,
think
I mean, it
it's,
is clear. It is clear that race, prejudice is taught, right? Prejudice thought.
yeah,
I can call it racism, but racism, I
yeah.
think, is a systematic result of prejudice. But prejudice
Thank
against
you,
other
right there.
cultures, prejudice is taught. It's
Yeah,
taught. It's taught usually from parents, and
yeah.
in some cases, it's taught as I've learned from some of my friends that lived in the Midwest. It's taught in schools. It is taught in schools. And I didn't
Yeah.
realize that. I grew up in New York City, where it's where ironically, when I grew up in New York City, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I went to public school with majority Latino and Black students
Mm-hmm.
and majority white teachers, back in the day.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, this
that's
is
the
back in the
thing.
day. I don't know how it is now, but back in the day when I went to school, it
Mm.
was just like that. But
Yeah,
it
it
was,
depends
but
on
it,
where you are.
yeah, but
Mm.
honestly, these are caring teachers. Because, you got to be a caring person to take a
Yeah.
job in the inner city, right? But it is true. It's,
Mm.
well, to a certain
Mm.
extent, to a certain
I'll
extent.
say this. It depends on the teacher, but I definitely want to comment about that, especially since I used to teach in the Philly school district. But yeah.
Okay, okay,
Mm.
yeah.
It I think that, like, no, I definitely get the Midwest, and sometimes why those towns aren't exactly don't have anybody of color, it's because they ran out to black people at one point, like, or sundown towns, you know. So it's the cities are always, I think, going to definitely be, you know, multicultural, because, like, you know, there were jobs there, you know,
Hmm.
for one thing or the other. But also for the country, for that it didn't just magically happen. It happened through something like, you know, Tulsa, or the attack, you know, attack there, or Rosewood. You know, I think for teachers, yes, I do think you are caring, um, and I don't think it should just, you know, we should just, you know, people in the suburbs are caring too, you know. But my point is, like, I don't think it's we need to look at like inner city kids as like this special group. Do you get what I'm saying? There's different circumstances that are tougher, period, because like the money should be there that isn't. And sometimes questionably wonder if it's being
That is true.
embezzled.
I mean, the sad thing is there's so much money in education, from what I've heard,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't even go to the teachers. But there is money
Yeah.
that's being put in people's pockets, but it's not going
Mm-hmm.
to the teachers, which is where it needs to go, but it's not.
Right.
So,
And I guess I'll
or the
say this.
students for that matter.
Right, right. And it's like you could kind of tell how things are going with capita spent per student, and that really
Hmm.
needs to like kind of be shaken. And even for those who are really caring, because like most of my teachers were very caring, but you even then you got to make, you know what, if you were a teacher, you especially have to, or especially should make sure that your stuff is, your allied work is tight, or that you were very in the process of learning, because you're right. It's I listened to this poem by this artist, Raphael Casal, and like it's called A Little Voice, and it basically talks about like how the racism is in everybody like a disease, and it takes work daily, like heart work, to make sure that you're doing that when you're near the most vulnerable. You know, it's you have to do that, because like I had a particular teacher. I will not name names on this show yet, but like it's I got a note home every day, and I figured it just because I was misbehaving or I was doing little stuff. But kind of looking back, when she was like writing a book, like it was just what she was writing just was constantly racist. So kind of looking back, even though I was one of her favorite students,
Hmm.
it was a mix of stuff. You see,
Hmm.
so she was rooting for me in one way, but how she wrote about me and my parents was terrible, and we had to sign off on it, which obviously we didn't.
I
But
mean,
it's out.
they don't
Mm-hmm.
even, you know, people don't even realize what they're saying because they're living in that their own reality. They don't even realize
Yeah.
what they're saying is actually demeaning or racist or whatever you want to
Mm,
call it. They don't see it, but then that's when they need to be
yeah.
called out on it.
Yeah.
So, and
And I guess, we called her out by not signing it, not signing it over. And the funny part about it is I saw her later. She was happy to see me. And the weird part about it is like her class was definitely what like, you know, encouraged me to like, be a writer, cause she
mm,
set up like little stations and everything. And I
hmm.
wanted to get to the theater one. So I like hopped over math. I picked some math and picked something that I thought I could play with clay, but that's not what that was about, unfortunately. But I thought it was going to be a sculptor. Um, but yeah, yeah. You know what? While we have the folk here, thank you y'all for who are joining us in here.
Daquan,
I definitely want to like uh introduce my guests. I'm Rory Still. This is my channel. This is the Artist Live interview. And I'll tell about your amazing stuff, but I'm gonna let you introduce yourself. So.
uh, let me see. Yep. Yes, we're going to
Mhm.
call him out, Tanika. Um, okay, real
Mhm.
quick. I am a filmmaker, Bobby Yan. I'm a director.
Mhm.
I also am writing. I mostly write for my own work, but I
Mhm.
consider myself that's an integral part of who I am as a creative.
Mhm.
Um, what else? I don't want to talk all about myself, but just know that
Mhm.
uh, at this time stage, I am very committed to creating work that helps. Well, it's not even this time, but it's just who I am. I'm committed to creating work that
Mhm.
entertains, but also educates, that also
Mhm.
internally creates a change within the system that we're in. From representation in front of and behind the lens,
Mhm.
to also just talking about the stories that nobody else is going to tell. I mean, that's our jobs.
Yeah.
Um, so that's in a
Mhm.
nutshell is who I am. My background was originally I started in the music industry with music videos and moved over to
Mhm.
commercials, and now I'm moving over strictly to narratives. It's all the same. Production is one big family, no matter what you do, as long as we're expressing ourselves. So, and with that, why don't you tell everybody who you are as well, real quick?
Okay. Okay. It's funny. Okay. I'm gonna try to hit this in bullet points.
Steven,
Something
what's
from
up?
nature. Yeah. So I am Rory Still. I am a journalist. Yeah, definitely started to kind of lean back more into that.
Yeah.
Yay. um, hello, hello. I am an author. I'm an Afrofuturist author. So that means I write some dope stuff with a lot of chocolate people. Um, that includes science fiction, fantasy, and horror, also called spec fiction or even what if fiction. We could look at it a little bit differently. And it addresses some of the issues that we're dealing with now in those books, either through sometimes a fantastical lens or directly as the issue along with fantasy, because like that issue isn't going to disappear if you're in this particular reality. Um, and it like I'm also a screenwriter now, director, because I directed at least two short films that either one that dealt with my particular universe. Thought it was going to be a trailer at first,
Mm-hmm.
um, but it ended up being a short film. And then also a producer because I produced a music EP, and I'm getting ready to produce an animation. Once it's done development. So
That's wonderful.
thank you, thank you. Oh, I'm a comic book writer too.
Yeah, that's how I met you. I met you as a comic book writer. So we
Hmm.
have that common love and it together. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Is that your
Sorry,
kitty?
it's my cat. Sorry,
Oh no,
he's acting up.
bring him in the thing. Do you want to bring him
Uh,
in the thing?
if I can get him, he's somewhere. He's blind and deaf. He's old. He's old.
Oh,
He's sitting in front of
how
me.
old is he?
At least 15, 16 years old.
Oh wow, he is quite the Gentleman, isn't he?
There he is. Look,
Oh, he's pretty. Ooh,
this is
is he an
Raggedy.
Angora?
He's a street cat.
Oh,
Street cat.
okay.
So
Oh, I think he just wanted some attention.
I hope so.
Well, he's cute. You know, animals, it's funny. I think they definitely, during this period, can. I have no animals, but I know for other people, that's why I like looking at other people's animals. You know, definitely can keep you, like, kind of centered, you know. But yeah, folks. Oh, and the other thing I forgot to include this. I've also written, hold on, two editions of Flashbang. One that came out in I think 2012, and one that I then redid with pictures and new stories in 2018. I did a co-authorship with a dystopian romantic novella, middle grade, starting there at least, novella with Ilya Madison. And we actually created a lesson plan for that with Freedom School. So they actually like did the lesson. The seventh graders like did poems to them and everything. I'm also an educator. I taught in the school district, and I also teach workshops too. So,
Wonderful. So with all that being said, I'd say
mm-hmm,
that our passions have a little bit of parallelism, a little bit
mm-hmm,
together. I like to do things that are also very fantasy driven.
mm-hmm,
I'm not going to say sci-fi exactly, but I like stuff that's a little bit. Hey Jamel,
mm-hmm.
that's some of my college buddies, New Orleans. Um,
Hey, Janelle. Oh,
I
I
like
love New
stuff
Orleans.
that's New Orleans in the house, and
Yes.
Tanika's from New Orleans. Um,
Hey, Tanika.
but yeah, I think we have a common bond of love of the
Mm-hmm.
fantastic, you know.
Yes.
And
Unicorn.
I was just saying as I knew you before, one of my college buddies from New Orleans. Well, we met in New Orleans. Is N.K.
Mm-hmm.
Jemisin. That's a very successful writer.
Oh my God, she's
So
so nice. I got to
yeah,
meet
she's
her one
wonderful.
time.
You got to
Yeah.
meet. That's wonderful. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
So finally, because you
Yeah.
guys seem very. You guys have a similar spirit to me. When I
Oh,
met you,
thank
I
you.
remember.
Thank
Well, that's what I said to you when I met you. So
Yeah. That I
yeah,
sound like her. I actually got a chance to like hear her voice. I'm like, yeah, yeah, might be a cousin.
you
I hope that is a
you
cousin.
guys have similar tenors, similar tones. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
And it's
So
weird when that happens, though. They say everybody has like at least one twin. She's a gorgeous woman too. But yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, amazing writer, amazing writer.
Mm-hmm.
And has always been like that from you know as long as we've known her. She's been
Mm-hmm.
that person, this D&D fantasy woman. That's who she is. So yeah,
She has a Twitch where she plays video games too, which I think is just
she
frankly
does.
amazing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Also a great passion of mine, video games. So I'll say this, if
mm-hmm.
I wasn't doing film, and if
Mm-hmm.
I had another choice in my life, I would have been a computer programmer and I would have been designing video games. That's my secret love. Besides music, I love to sing. So besides all that, I would have been doing
Ooh,
that. Yeah.
excellent,
So
excellent. I
in
got an
fact,
idea.
one of my future plans is to eventually still direct a video game somehow. So that's one of my plans is
Okay.
to do something with video games. Yeah. It's like my passion. So, yeah.
Nice. No, Bobby, I think that's lit. I think that I'm very much looking forward to that. And frankly, I was going to suggest that too. No, there's I hey, maybe we can join the same coding class. I plan to probably take coding academy to like build an app, and then there's something flying around on Instagram where you don't have to know code to design an app, and it's really interesting. So no, I think you definitely should do that, especially since you have an interest in fantastic.
Hmm.
I'd be very interested to see what roles you build within it. And like I personally think I'm gonna give you my suggestion if you don't mind. I'm gonna give you
Hmm.
5 seconds for objective. Okay. It'd be dope if you like made singing actually part of the video game. And then like
Hmm.
since virtual reality seems to be really growing, maybe kind of tap into that and make that part of it, or do augmented reality. Because what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to, this is later, I have to figure out, sometimes my art is very much puzzle pieces. And while I'm focusing on like one main chunk, I also feel some stuff up here. I need to be able to kind of at least do one more thing. Let me see. Be augmented. So I'm gonna get this poster augmented by this dope artist called John, who basically he'll paint something, or create something, and then you like look through it through this app, or
Hmm.
create something. and then like it moves. Like he did a monkey. So I have this thing done by this painting that's from one of the stories, Taking Wing, done by Sean Aline, and it like she's a I'm trying to think. I want to make sure I'm using the right angel class. Maybe seraphim, and she has like several different wings, or at least really big wings. And I
Hmm.
kind of wanted to make that go whoosh. You know, when you like look at it through your phone, and maybe kind of like incorporate that into the scavenger hunt. So that
Hmm.
something that's like really interactive. But yeah, no, I think you should definitely like do a video game with like
Oh
the
yeah,
voice in the background.
I'm very big on virtual reality right now. So
Oh,
I have,
nice. Okay.
yeah, I'm like really into it. So
Mm-hmm.
so I've been trying to explore the possibilities of how that can affect filmmaking as well. You know, with virtual reality,
Yeah, yeah.
it hasn't
Mm-hmm.
fully like come together yet. But I think with
Mm-hmm.
augmented reality, it eventually
Mm-hmm.
will. It definitely will. We're going to find this one place where we can actually combine it really interestingly into
Mm-hmm.
this, you know, interactive entertainment form that actually can work. You know, it's going to be its own format, and I think that's going to
Yeah.
happen in the future as well. Somehow, we're
I
going to find that.
Right. I think I have an idea, and honestly, I think it's been a little almost patterned for us to a point with oh, Lord, that's horrible. I used to call it Cirque du Soleil. That is not its name. Cirque du Soleil.
Circus Soleil.
um, thank you. So, Cirque du Soleil. I love Cirque du Soleil. Cirque du Soleil. Yes. So, like how they use like kind of like different moving and colors, and then there was a play where they did something a little like that, where they used certain screens and live actors. I'm trying to
mm,
remember. It was like a really famous play, and the tickets were really expensive.
I don't know
Um,
which one.
the key, the boat, it was something short. Just it was
Hmm.
and then something else. But I think that actually might be it. I think with it being its own format, I think the theaters are definitely going to look different with it because
Hmm.
you're I think closer to my age. You might be younger than me, Bobby. I do not know.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
Uh, oh, okay, 83. Wait, you don't have to give your age. You know, I'm
I'm older.
83.
I'm
Okay.
older.
All right, all right. Um, but basically, they used to have something called smell-o-vision. Now that didn't go so well because I think it got stuck in the seats, you know. But yeah, it'd be interesting to if they had a good ventilation system to
Hmm.
bring something back that involved it. Basically, like I said, recreate the theater. Where you can like touch something and then view it through your phone. And I think it would be kind of like smart to incorporate that since people are using phones anyway. And depending on the film, it's certain people are going to pop out their screen anyway. So maybe make that part of what like goes on. But then
Hmm.
again, people, come to watch too. So it'll be fun to play around with that. But I think I have a few ideas, especially with this basically this entertainment thing I wanted to do, and I think would be really people are gonna have to sign waivers, but it would be like a really incredible idea, especially at like Comic Cons. Where you could like dress up, cosplay, and interact, and like do that, and then there's like some holograms, and and they're one of the experiments I think about 5 years ago, they almost made light a solid object. So that at least is stepping in either the right or wrong direction. I'm gonna hit you. I'm gonna hit you with my flashlight, the actual flashlight. No, the beam. Anyway.
Well, and that becomes a lightsaber, right? So
Yes.
ultimately,
Yes. Yes. That's gonna be like in theory, it's funny. Like in my head, like I'm tired of you. Listen, and then like they get like pencil sized ones. I'm tired of you. It was my cookie at recess, and you don't understand. Um, like Miss Still Raquathon, because my kid's gonna have an interesting name, broke out his lightsaber again. Did Bethany harass him again? Like, we have to look at the ABC and what led up to this. I'm not going to be that parent entirely, but but we're going to investigate things, and hopefully, in how we craft our art, maybe it won't, you know, kind of be like that. Thank you for introducing yourself to the people, Bobby.
hmm,
Um, when do you feel was like the first time you met art in a
first time I
form
met
that you saw?
art, I mean, it was just as a kid. It was just drawing. I used to draw, so I mean, it's as
Mm-hmm.
simple as that. I expressed myself as a kid through drawing. It was the first thing that through
Mm-hmm.
crayons, I guess. If you really want to think about it, it's just
Mm-hmm.
I would just draw all the time as a kid. That's all I did. It was my way of expressing myself. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I was very quiet when I was young, and
Mm-hmm.
that had a lot to do with the fact that I had, you know, uh, I was a child of immigrants that learned Chinese first and
Mm-hmm.
went to school. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I had to deal with the fact that, you know, I was bilingual. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so I kind of got kind of shy. I was a little shy. I didn't say much. So how did I express myself? I expressed myself through drawing. So and eventually
Nice.
painting. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that ultimately led to me loving uh, film, because film
Mm-hmm.
is, to me, is also a way of painting with not just light.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just light, but
Mm-hmm.
it's also painting with emotion. You know, working with people
Mm-hmm.
to pull out the emotion from an actor.
Mm-hmm.
It's all one big orchestration to me of art.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then I also used to do poetry. I used to love writing poems as a child, something that
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really gone back to as a child, but I remember that was a part of what
Mm-hmm.
I love to do. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's my first introduction to art informally as a kid. I think that's where most people start, but that's where I started. So,
Hmm. Do you remember how old you were?
um, probably, I don't know, as young as 3, 4, 5, maybe,
Oh wow,
you
that's
know,
good.
and then
That's real
as you,
good.
I mean,
Hmm.
since kindergarten, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just something I did. It's just what I love to do. So
Hmm. Do you feel that it was do you feel it was meditative for you?
meditative, not as a child, no, no.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, and now in my older age, I guess I can look back on it and possibly say that it is a form of
Mm-hmm.
meditative expression without realizing it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
um, could 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 work be meditative? If I think if it's not the right words, it's
Mm-hmm.
if your work is your passion, then
Mm-hmm.
that is your expression, and that is you living your life at your fullest. Whatever your passion is. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
lucky enough to combine your passion with your career,
Mm-hmm.
which some people have been lucky enough to do, that's a wonderful combination. So for me, since
Yeah.
my work is my passion, which is
Mm-hmm.
directing,
Mm-hmm.
then that is a perfect combination for my happiness, and also for me to live the life to my fullest. You know,
Mm-hmm.
as one big part of, if I take my career path and say this is my passion,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm living my passion, correct? So, and in that sense, I guess I can call it meditation, maybe, as art, maybe, if I look at it that way. So,
Mm-hmm. I feel that.
if you consider meditation living your
Mm-hmm.
life to the fullest, which is the goal of meditation, right? To center yourself. So,
Mm-hmm.
and something I've been doing also as a result of this COVID
Mm-hmm.
is I've finally a
Mm-hmm.
little bit try to get into some meditation. There's an actor, David Okay, I can't remember his
Mm-hmm.
last name. Sorry. He sent me this 21-day Deepak Chopra meditation
Mm-hmm.
that I just finished yesterday, a 21-day thing, and
Oh
I
wow. Okay.
stuck to it for 21 days, and
Nice.
it's been good. It's been helpful. It's definitely
Mm-hmm.
centered me. So, and I'm one of those people that I don't really live within structure, but it helps to have a
Mm-hmm.
little bit. It helps to have a little bit of structure sometimes. So even though
Okay.
I'm not really a structured person, but it helps to have some structure. So
No, I definitely understand that. I definitely understand it. Do you feel after 21 days that it's become a habit?
I do believe it has, yeah, because I actually want to do it now. I feel like
Oh,
I want
okay.
to. I feel like I want to do it as soon as I wake up. So if that's a
Oh,
habit,
excellent.
then yeah. And the other thing that I've been able to kind of make a habit is running. I've been more or less trying to run about, minimum of 4 miles a day, and I've been pretty successful at it for at least 5 days a week for the last
Mm-hmm.
month and a half. And
Mm-hmm.
it's that in itself has become a form of meditation for me, because the running is clearing my head and it's giving me clarity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's also giving me some sun, because you just can't be cooped up in the house all day, during the quarantine time. So
That's true. I have to work on that. That's true.
yeah.
Uh,
So
do you feel?
I
Mm-hmm.
haven't been doing it for like body reasons. I've been doing it for the clarity of
Mm.
mind, but
Mm.
it works both ways, you know. And I was
That's true.
just talking to I forgot who just texted me.
Mm.
I literally forgot. I'm sorry if I can't remember. But someone just said, you know,
That's okay.
if you
Mm.
you know if, with this COVID thing, if it particularly would hurt people that are not very not very active, and
Mm-hmm.
so if you're active, it's more helpful. So
Yeah.
to stay healthy right now, right?
Yeah.
So so with that in mind, if you are
Mm.
moving your body more, that is better than not moving at all, you know.
That's
So
true too.
yeah.
Yeah. Mm. I had to kind of work on a little schedule. My friend was nice enough to send me some Pilates because it like kind of messed up my ankle. I was going to exercise. I was in the process of doing the right thing for me and my body, and then I fell. So stumbled right into the street. Like
Okay.
it
Oh,
was.
oh, well, my friend, big sister Tammy is very big into
Mhm.
yoga. Maybe you should try yoga. I don't know. That's something you could do at the
Oh,
house, you know. So
yeah.
it's better than nothing.
What I No, that's true. That's true. What I do though is like I'm not my what I need is funny. I definitely kind of for me have to my structure is like, okay, we definitely want to do these three things, and I make a list, you know. And I like what this one actor said, especially during stressful times like this, or times like during like, especially being as an amazing black woman that I am, like, it's taking care of the emotional health, like you said, is definitely first. So I'm gonna say I'm going to try to do these things. Usually, it's me saying I'm going to do these three things. I've definitely gotten in the place where I can do that.
Hmm.
But honestly, I was taking some meditative sleep too, some day naps. But I'm like a night owl too, so I was kind of like staying up at night and then, kind of sleeping a little bit like kind of midday and getting up and kind of running my stuff that way and like working on the animation I mentioned. I guess that for me what's been keeping me like kind of like focused is just honestly talking to other people and participating, even though I'm not like having yet gone out to one of these marches, like doing research for groups, calling, retweeting, which does make a difference because it's hitting an algorithm. Um, and then just kind of following what certain groups are saying already or passing on, certain things or letting people know what kind of gear they probably need to go, which I need to grab some
I mean,
goggles. But
activism can come in many forms. It can come in the form
yeah.
of you physically being there to protest, but if you're not
Hmm.
physically able to be there, there's other ways to create change, right?
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's inherently something that
Hmm.
is part of a creator's journey, like ourselves, is
Hmm.
it's embedded for most of us, especially as creators of
Hmm.
color. It tends to be
Hmm.
embedded into our system. It's embedded into
Yeah.
our ideology. It's embedded into our stories we
Hmm.
tell. It's automatically, you know, in most cases there,
Hmm.
right? It is part of our job, part of our hidden duty, I should say, to represent. Just you representing yourself as a black
Yes.
woman in that field
Yes.
is a form
Hmm.
of activism. Me representing myself
Yeah.
as a
Hmm.
Asian man that is proud of who I am,
Hmm.
but also is a bridge to other cultures, is in
Hmm.
itself a form of activism, right? And in the
Yes.
stories we tell. So
Hmm.
that's something. There's people on many different fronts. So for us,
Hmm.
particularly, you know, that's the front for us, right?
Yeah.
So I say you can't be on the
Hmm.
front lines, then do the work behind, because the work that we do
Yeah.
behind can last for generations, hopefully, you know.
Yeah.
That's the
No, that's
goal.
yeah. No, that's actually exactly what I was saying to somebody the other day, and I've said this before. I definitely come
Yes, Toni
from.
Morrison.
Um,
Hmm.
yes. Thank you. Her too. Terrible. No, yeah, totally bullshit. But I wasn't quoting her yesterday, and I was saying to a friend that, like, yeah, that the work we are doing definitely. I want this to continue. I do not want normal to come back necessarily because normal is dangerous and it's painful and it's a lot of other things that doesn't need to be. The system has to change, and with that, um, I definitely believe you're right. And you know, Dane Morrison, may she rest in power, said beforehand, obviously, that we kind of are what make people not forget. You're right. The stories we tell, the inherent DNA and duty that's within that, you're right, definitely makes those stories, gives them power and helps them remember. Because, like, for instance, I've been interested in the vampires since I was 7. Like, people had pretend friends, I had a pretend boyfriend. At 7, was a vampire. I'm like, he was good. I also had one of the Ninja Turtles was my boyfriend too. Was Michelangelo. He was fun. Like, Leo had a bunch of like stuff going on. Seemed to brood a lot. Donatello was in the like tech, and that wasn't me. Raphael was like real humorous, but he was like mean in the movie. I was like, I can't be with you. That doesn't look like a good relate. That looks like a toxic relationship. So I'm like, I'm gonna date Michelangelo. He's like trying to stop bad drugs. You know, they had the whole stop drugs, but like, you kind of look at that as a little colored in like some black and brown arrest. Um, you know, but but Michelangelo was trying to do the right thing. So that was, he was exciting. This might actually be part of how I may have picked some partners. Have to look at that. Anyway, I'm like, he wears black. I like that. He's real fun. No, humor is a big part of what I like in a person, a human being. Um, Sandra S. or Sampson, yes, but yeah. So like, yeah. Wait, I really enjoyed it. That was fun. Point being, yes, the stories we tell, we get influenced because I'm still writing about vampires. In fact,
Hmm.
before I started on Flashbang, I would joke about this, but like I was like I kind of cheated on my vampire story with Flashbang because I got stuck. I'm not stuck anymore, kind of, but it did influence in how I'm doing that, and definitely my cultural pride is making sure of how I'm shaping it. The fact that Dracula is black and that he's like, I don't like what's happening down here. I'm gonna fix this, but it really isn't his story. It's his female descendant story. So
Mm.
definitely. Hey, Devin. He's on here. He was one of the people who like put up the advertisement.
Yeah,
But
thank you,
no,
Devin.
you're right. Yes. Incredible photographer, by the way.
Right.
Does like dance in nature and is just and got a new shutter too. Really cool.
Mm.
Um, I may have new lens. Anyway. But like, no, you're right. Definitely the stuff that we put out there lasts a long time. Because like whoever wrote Gravedale High, you know, that's still influencing my
I
writing
mean,
today.
I mean, look at do the right thing. I mean, how prophetic was do the right thing. You know, I mean, even though
Yeah.
it was obviously based. Well, I'll say prophetic, but also it's showing the cycle that has never ended, right? Because do the right thing was based on
Yeah.
stuff that he knew growing up, and it's still going
Yeah.
on 25 years later, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's important. You're right. What we create are touchstones so people can kind of look back. I'm gonna one of the Greek philosophers was saying fiction is so dangerous because people let it seep in unconsciously. And while that is like something terrible when you get like Birth of a Nation, then it's amazing when you get Do the Right Thing, or you Get Out, or you get all these different movies, or you get like a music video that you directed because you're putting a certain eye through which people are going to see it. Like you said, creating a painting with light people and pictures. Is
mhm.
like it stays with folks, and even the things that aren't necessarily visual for people who come with different ability statuses. Like I was talking to this musician who gave me an incredible gift, which I'll mention later, about how music repeats itself in a film. Like for a particular character, so you get a certain sense of who they are. Like
Mm.
within a screenplay, you're supposed to like, boom, like a television screenplay, we're supposed to know, who these main characters are that we're going to live with for the next 10 years, ideally. Or
Mhm.
like how the hero is saving the cat even though he might be like a total brat. We like, he, she, or they, we got to see at least like a glimmer of hope. So it's,
Yeah,
you're right,
very
we
true.
make.
Otherwise they're unlikable. And then
Bingo.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen some movies that's escaped that point where the whole movie the character's unlikable, and those movies don't tend to do
Hmm.
they don't do very well, at least
Yeah.
in general. Yeah.
People, I think, want to see human things, but at the same time they want a hero. What's interesting, I have to dig into this a little bit. Like you have the hero's journey that I know
Hmm.
is supposed to be a film pattern. Even though, like, what was really cool, I learned from one of excuse me, one of my teachers, Stephen Barnes, that you can take it out of order. And that
Mm.
actually it kind of runs along the chakras too, which I thought was like, yo, that's dope. And how he like showed us, like with 10 Years a Slave, or the Maslow's different needs. Um, So it's, yeah, no, it's a certain archetype that are people looking for. But someone always was talking about like the female's journey and how they tend to collect people to do a job. Like, and I guess it's I was, what makes me think of that is like the Wiz, like, she kind of accidentally killed somebody, um, and had to go ask for an escape plan. Different way of looking at
Mm-hmm.
it. Or Sailor Moon, like, she is like, poor Serenity is finding out that she was just trying to go to eighth grade eating like boys. Her plans got, her 2020 got messed up too. Um,
Well,
and now,
I've always been told
mhm,
if you're gonna switch the script on film
mhm,
structure,
mhm,
understand the structure first, and if you become a master
yeah,
of understanding the structure, then you can break it
mhm,
around and turn it around and make it your own, right?
mhm,
So that's what I've been told to understand. Although
mhm.
you could just look in and change the structure yourself and create something amazing. That happens too. So
True, true.
yeah.
It's funny, but like, crap. And I realized we're actually running short. Bobby, we've had a very deep conversation. I love it how like I was talking about Great Dale. Yeah, I mean cartoons are deep too, but I like how you just brought in Do the Right Thing. I'm like, I probably should mention something a little bit deeper at this point.
Well,
But
I mean,
but
films is always in my head. I mean,
mhm.
cartoons and comic books are probably more in your head, but films have always been in my
Yeah,
head. So, but it
yeah.
connects. It's all connected. So,
That's true. It's all the story because like even within that particular cartoon, which thankfully is free, there are going to be archetypes. Like the teacher who Rick Moranis in that is the hero because it's a monster version of Welcome Back, Mr. Cotter. But yeah, I realized it had like three different black kids if I'm like counting people in their heritages. But you do that. It's uh we had such a deep conversation. I like low key wanted to ask you more stuff, but I think, since we've been talking about like, kind of mental health, and I believe it still actually might be mental health month as well, making sure we take care of that, how we kind of like dig in the creative process. Thank you for sharing that. And how you like paint with your films. I love that you shared that because I could see it.
hey,
I could definitely see it. Hey, folk
hey
who
Ronnie, hey Ronnie,
hopped
that's
in,
Ronnie.
hopped in and joined
I
us.
mean, great
Um,
filmmaker too. Um,
awesome, awesome. I'm
and everybody
trying to think.
everybody who's in here, follow Rory, hit her up, get to know her, and build a community. She's great. So,
Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate that. And any Flash
yeah,
Bang crew who are in here, definitely follow Bobby. He is doing his ally work, and he also makes films that very much focus on representation that has not been seen. Speaking of which, since we have 5 minutes, if you care to talk about this a little bit before giving your social, and I hope Bobby that you will come back for a second one.
sure, anytime.
Thank you.
I'm always down to talk.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Always down
Same
to talk.
here. Same here. I was about to make a terrible joke. I'm like, listen, that's probably how the vampires would catch me. We heard her talking, and then we caught the rest of them too. She was just chatting. She was happy. She was happy. We almost hated to ruin it. But
Chill out.
but let me see. We have about 5 minutes. Why is two questions? I'll try to fold them together. Why is representation so important? And definitely what you're writing now, how do you feel you're doing your ally work to the Black community in particular, or through the art that you might be doing right now as well too? I know you mentioned earlier, but maybe just to even, and we have 5 minutes, so if we can take this giant
Um,
question and
well, obviously,
then,
well, let's just go straight to what I'm
Mhm.
doing in allied work. So in my
Okay.
film work, because I think that I do have a film that I'm working on right now that
Mm-hmm.
directly is um, about being an ally.
Mm.
From a protagonist who's a young 12-year-old Asian American boy. So,
Ah, okay. Mm-hmm.
but with that being said, in the film is about the intersection of race
Mm-hmm.
and culture. It deals with race. It also deals with interculture from the kid being American born and the father being an immigrant. So there's multiple,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
that's a
also
story.
it's also about the clash between the father being an immigrant and the
Mm-hmm.
town that he lives in, which is a mostly African American community town, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it deals with that type of stuff. So the goal of this film is always going to be building the bridge between us to show an allegiance with us, to focus on
Mhm.
the human connections between us, but also to recognize this, on a greater sense, the system that is in place that pits us against each other, right?
Mhm.
So that's what the
Okay.
film is working with within the confines of this fun story.
Mhm.
There's many deeper issues. With that being said, every and I don't know how much time, but every film that I do, that I
Mhm.
write at least,
Mhm.
will have some sort of representation from
Mhm.
from from a unique standpoint, whoever the character is. The character doesn't have to be Asian, the character doesn't have to be black, it doesn't matter,
Mhm.
but it will be something that deals with a certain part of humanity that represents who I am and my perspective. That is, just me being me is a direct differentiation from the system that we live in America, and the powers that
Mhm.
be that control us, right? That control media. So whatever I do is going to be representation, honestly. And whatever you do is a representation. Whatever both of us do, no matter what
Mhm.
we do, is going to be representation, because we are not who the system has been made for, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
if you want to call it protest art, I don't care what you want to call it. It is, we live it.
Mhm.
That's who we are. So
Mhm.
that's everything I do will do that. Even if I go on a set directing a TV show as a director on a show that I'm just a guest director, I am representing my voice. So that in itself is protest art, right? No matter what.
Yeah.
So I think that's something to be
Mhm.
noted of, because of our unique predicament living in this country. Now, if I was in China, that's different. If you were in Africa, born in Africa, different. But if you're coming in living in America,
Mhm.
for us, this is who
Mhm.
we are, and that's what binds us. But that's something that's going to bind us together no matter what. So
No, I definitely could see that. I definitely could see that. Well, for me, it might not be the whole continent since like a lot of us
I'm
can't.
I'm generalizing. I know. I know. I'm from here.
Okay.
I'm born here, just like you're born here. I get it. So
Okay.
yeah,
No, no, no. What I was saying is like the continent, not one
yeah.
particular country. Um, I could, and honestly, I've been talking to my African play cousins and friends, and kind of like locating stuff. Like it looks like we're hitting Nigeria with like the large portion. Not gonna go off on a tangent. I want to, but no, I definitely like what you said. The mere existence of ourselves in the art is a form of protest. And yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I like how you said even when I just show up on, in my head, I saw you showing up on set like, yeah, I'm here. I don't think that's what you do, but like, it's Bobby, y'all. All right.
That's just something that I realized. Yeah. For me, it's just, I'm just Bobby. Hey, how y'all doing? But then,
Mm,
but then I have to realize that no matter what I do, my
mm,
existence semblance is something that represents something greater, right? And that's something that
yeah.
being in this film industry and working on my films recently has taught me. You know,
Mm,
it's
mm,
taught me that, whether I want to realize it or not. You know, so
mm. But I definitely appreciate. Okay, they gave us a countdown. I definitely appreciate you recognizing that. I think it's a big deal. Won't quote the exact one of people running, but no, it's a very big deal to realize that because it makes you move in a different direction, makes you look out for people differently. I definitely like
correct.
that you,
And
you know,
also solidarity, and also passing it on. That's also important for me. That's something
yeah, yeah,
that's a part of who I am, is passing on the opportunities that are given to me to others. So that's very important.
yeah, yeah. No, it's okay. No, no, you're absolutely right. I know that hopefully next time we um talk, we could talk about the mentorship program and why that's important to you and how that
Hmm.
actually ties into what we're talking about. But no, definitely passing it is very important. Or like to quote Lena, if you are definitely have a mentor, you're ready for a mentee. So you should be passing that
Hmm.
advice on. And we'll also kind of discuss legacy as well, and what are you leaving behind, because you don't want it to just be, you don't want to be like you want to be the first, not the only, so
Hmm.
that definitely ties into my artistic walk, because I've been blessed enough to have
Well, I
mentees
think
and
you don't want to be the only, but you could be the first, but you don't want to be the only, right? Is that what you're trying to
yeah.
say? Yeah,
uh,
I
uh,
think. I
yeah,
think,
something,
right?
yeah, yes,
Something like that.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you don't want to the saying was you definitely correct 20 seconds. Yeah, no, you might end up being the first, but you definitely don't want to be the only, so it's important to be
Correct.
able to let behind it. But on that note, I'm going to stop. I'm going to say goodbye. But
Thank you, guys. Thank you,
yes,
Rory.
you're welcome. But he'll be back and talk to you guys later. All right, bye. Okay, let me just.